Before I go ahead and start preparing all the pieces to get glued together and then probably start gluing, I just want to go through the kit. I think the other S800 I bought, I got the P&P because I believe it came with the flight controller and the other board. And I did actually because it had the really bad video transmitter and the camera didn't work. And it didn't matter, I had all the pieces I needed. But just here's kind of what you got in the actual kit version. So you got the fuselage, obviously. Good to go there. The little brass inserts. It looks like some of these, I did notice on the last one I built that the inserts weren't glued in very well. Try and keep an eye on that. The little spacer, I don't use this at all, but what I keep it because you can cut out chunks of this to fill in like the holes in the wing and stuff like that. So just keep that as spare. Throw that off to the side. Obviously the little wing insert pieces that go on the bottom here. So you got both of those. Your winglets that'll get separated in your left and right winglet. Your left and right wings, obviously. Right and left, whatever. Carbon fiber spars for the wings and for in the actual elevons and then in the wing surface that get glued in there too. So not just the full span one, but on each side. This wood piece, actually somebody commented on the Facebook S800 group, said just don't even worry about using this because it just kind of takes up space for your stack. I probably won't use it because of that. I don't really need it. I haven't had issues with the strength of mine, although I don't really need to worry about the height of the stack because of the S800 or the Haube Canopy that I'm going to use. So I'll think about it. I'm going to toss off the side for right now. In the little baggies that come with it, you get the push rods. These are pretty bendy. I've got some other stuff I'll probably use, and these guys, being that they just kind of press together, are kind of crap. I have some other push rod or control horns I will probably use. I like these super strength T-style. I don't know if I'm going to use these or not because they're real big. I have cut them down before on other ones, but they screw in instead of having these just press in kind. So I'll think that one through until we get to that. Push that off to the side. In that bag, some M3 screws for the motor mount and things, I'm assuming. I can't think of it right now. Doesn't really matter. M2, these are for the bay covers and the ESC cover. I don't know if I'll use these. They use the cap head. I prefer button heads, so they're a little more low profile. And I just have some random M3 hardware kit I got off Amazon. These carbon fiber pieces, I'm not going to use any of these. You've got your little air covers for on the top of the canopy. Your little bay covers from the wings. These are somehow used as strap holders for the GoPro. If you put these in, I don't know. And then the ESC cover. So the reason I said I'm not going to use any of these is I'm going to end up using some 3D printed covers that my friend's 3D printing out for me to get more the ESC cover that sticks up a little bit so you get more airflow. Actually the bay covers also have little scoops, so we'll get to those later. And I'll whatever 3D printed stuff I do use, I'll make sure to share the Thingiverse links. But yeah, these guys are going to go in my pile of carbon fiber pieces that I already have. But yeah, I've got a pile of these already. The motor mount. So these actually were in with the other bag. I took them out and put them in their own. You got your little wooden piece that gets this guy glued to it. We'll CA that together. And then actually CA the carbon fiber piece to it also. Now normally, I didn't glue that on there. Normally if you were building this, it's kind of planned that you would screw your motor to this and then glue it on. Obviously that's less than ideal. You don't want to do that. But I'm actually going to something that S800 used to come with, and I've bought a couple of these off Banggood as spares. It's the motor mount. So what you do is you actually screw these standoffs to this back plate and then put this plate on. So at first it brings the motor mount off the back of the plane. So you actually get some separation. Yeah, you get it. So the motor mount's actually going to be, the motor will actually sit back here instead of right up against. Helps get it out of the flow, makes it a little bit quieter. Also brings your CG back a little bit, so when you use a heavier battery, like a 1500 4S up against the front, help balance it out from what I've found. But the other thing is, when you have it like this, you can take this piece off and then get your motor and swap out your motor. So that's a big helpful thing there. So I'm going to be installing that. Again, it's the S800 motor mount. I'll put a link in the description, but it's just Banggood. They used to come with the S800s from what I've read. For some reason, Reptile stopped putting them in with it, but you can still get the kit on Banggood. So that's the motor mount. Moving along and what we get in here. 2 servo leads. I'm not going to use these. What I usually do is actually I will make the servo wires the correct length for what I need. I've got some servo wire and just raw servo wire, and I solder the connectors on the end, solder them to the actual servo that I'm going to use, so that way it's nice, clean, and the wires are all the right length. So just keep those for some other project. An XT60. This wire is rather thin. I might use this XT60, I might not, but I definitely will be using slightly thicker wire. This looks like it's 18 gauge. It's a little thinner than what I would prefer. And finally, kind of curiously, they sent the stabilizer board, but I don't believe this will work without the piece that goes on top of this. I know the other one I got had a board that goes on top, so I'm not going to use it anyways. We're going to go with iNav, but I don't think this would do me any good. So it's kind of strange that they threw it in the bag or the box with it. But yeah, whatever. I'm going to go ahead and just chuck that right now. That's in the trash. So we'll go ahead and get the bench cleared off a little bit, and we'll start getting rid of these pieces that we aren't going to use.